My name is Elijah David, minister of the 12th hour Apostolic Sabbatarian Congregation on the 12th hour. In the Liberty Hill, Texas, today is June 21, 2013, or it is the 13th day of the 4th month, 2017. We're going to start this first service today with a song that I've written entitled, Lead Me to the Rock. Lead me to the rock that's higher than I, I'll forever be. Indebted to the Son, the very one who came to set men free. For the life in this world I have to live is but a stepping stone. For the greater heights I have to attain is every dime alone. Lead me to the rock, oh lead me to the rock. Lead me to the rock that's higher than now. Lead me to the place of the Savior's feet. Lead me to those mansions in the sky. Man on a mission came to this world, sort of on the slide. Born in a manger, especially a stranger could be seen passing by. Oh, the moon shone bright with the heavenly lights of all the starry host. For the brightest one of them all is the one that loved them most. For sharp pointed to the newborn king as he lay in the manger's crib. He's the descendant of the one created from the Adam's rib. As the time rolled on, many stories are told about the man of the Galilee. How he changed the water into the wine, made the blind to see. Lead me to the rock that's higher than I. Lead me to the fountain that never runs dry. Lead me in the path of the river of life. Lead me to those mansions in the sky. For this is the man for all times upon whom men come to rely. For the witness of many miracles right before their eyes. For he lived and he died and he rose again with the victory over the grave. With the proven once and for all, he had the power to save. Don't leave me in the desert, barren and dry. Thank grace forever and ever to die. Brother, lead me to the mountain that never runs dry. Lead me to the rock that's higher than now. Lead me to the rock, oh lead me to the rock. Lead me to the rock that's higher than now. Lead me to the place of the Savior's feet. Lead me to those mansions in the sky. Oh yes, lead me to those mansions in the sky. Hello everyone, once again this is Elijah David. We're going to do the signs of Yashua's second coming, part 4. We're still dealing with Time of Greetings, volume 2, number 44 by the big Teohatha. And actually he's also put all the signs of the kingdom, which. So he's asking the question here now. What about the signs of the coming of Yashua, or should we look for the signs of him coming in his kingdom first? These are two different comings now, folks. Actually, they're not. They're one and the same coming. It's just that you need to understand that when he comes in the kingdom of his glory, Matthew 25:31, and gathers all nations before him and sits upon the throne of his glory, he brings all the holy angels with him. That's his second coming. But the thing is, you have to understand that we're looking for signs of him coming into his kingdom. Because when he comes the second time from heaven, he's coming in his kingdom, and he's bringing his kingdom down here. And that kingdom is the everlasting kingdom of David that has already been set up here with David a long time ago, Yahweh made a covenant with him when David became king of Israel. Way back there about 1000 BC, 3,000 years ago, is when Yahweh made this covenant with David that he would establish his everlasting his throne with an everlasting kingdom forever and ever. He says, and his kingdom shall endure as long as the stars, and the moon and the sun are up there in the heavens. That's how long his kingdom is going to endure. Now, I want to read to you the word signs, S-I-G-N-S, appears 53 times in the King James Scripture. And the first sign is in Genesis 1:14, and I want to read it to you. And Elohim said, let there be lights in the firmament. This is creation week of the heaven, to divide the day from the night, and let them be for the signs, and for seasons, and for days, and for years. Now, this is so important to understand because the sun, the moon, and the stars also govern the sanctuary service, and that's how we publish the creation calendar, Yahweh's creation calendar, from the sun, the moon, and stars punctuating true time in the heavens, and it says their signs are for the seasons and for days and for years. Okay. If they weren't there to govern the sanctuary service, then they would be there to govern your harvest year. Okay, that you can farm by and harvest by. So now it says that in Exodus 4:17, and he says, and thou shalt take this rod in thine hand, wherewith thou shalt do signs. Verse 28, and Moses told Aaron all the words of Yahweh who had sent him, and all the signs which he had commanded him. And Aaron, verse 30, Exodus chapter 4. And Aaron spake all the words which the Yahweh had spoken unto Moses, and did the signs in the sight of the people. Exodus 7:3. And I will harden Pharaoh's heart, and multiply my signs and my wonders in the land of Egypt. Exodus 10:1. And the Yahweh said unto Moses, go in unto Pharaoh, for I have hardened his heart, and the heart of his servants, that I might show these my signs before him. Exodus 10:2. And that thou mayest tell in the ears of thy son, and of thy son's son, what things I have wrought in Egypt, and my signs which I have done among them, that ye may know how that I am the Yahweh. Numbers 14:11. And the Yahweh said unto Moses, how long will this people provoke me, and how long will it be ere they believe me for all the signs which I have showed among them? Deuteronomy 4:34. Or hath Elohim essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation by the temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all that the Yahweh your Elohim did for you in Egypt before your eyes. Deuteronomy 6:22. And the Yahweh showed signs and wonders great and sore upon Egypt, and upon Pharaoh, and upon all his household before our eyes. Deuteronomy 7:19. For the great temptations which thine eyes saw, and the signs and the wonders and the mighty hand and the stretched out arm, whereby the Yahweh thy Elohim brought thee out, so shall the Yahweh thy Elohim do unto all the people in whom thou art afraid. Deuteronomy 26:8. And the Yahweh brought us forth out of Egypt with a mighty hand, and with an outstretched arm, and with great terribleness, and with signs and with wonders. Deuteronomy 29:3. For the great temptations which thine eyes have seen, the signs and those great miracles. Deuteronomy 34:11. And all the signs and the wonders which the Yahweh sent him to do in the land of Egypt, unto Pharaoh, and unto all his servants, and unto all his land. Joshua 24:17. For the Yahweh Elohim, He it is that brought us up and our fathers out of the land of the Egypt, from the house of the bondage, and which did show those great signs in our sight, and preserved us in all the way wherein we went, and among all the people through whom we passed. 1 Samuel 10:7. And let it be when these signs are come up unto thee, that thou do as occasion serve thee, for Elohim is with thee. This is Samuel talking to King Saul, first king of Israel. 1 Samuel 10:9. And it was so, that when he had turned his back to go from Samuel, Elohim gave him another heart, and all those signs came to pass that day. Jeremiah 9:10. And showed his signs and wonders upon the Pharaoh, and on all his servants, and on all the people of his land, for thou knewest that they dealt proudly against them, so didst thou get thee a name as it is this day. Psalm 74:4. Thine enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations. They sit up their ensigns for signs. Now isn't this amazing? Thine enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations. They sit up their signs. How did the enemy get in the midst of your congregation? They must have got in there by deception. And usually, if they have ensigns to sit up, it means that they are in the ministerial lead of the congregation, that they're the head ministry. Okay. So when you have a prophet that starts out restoring the sanctuary system, like Brother Thompson Johnson did, and it says, and then he apostatized at the end of his ministry. Okay, so now it says that you're to recognize the signs when this happens. Well, where do you recognize the signs at? Over in 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, I read to you the last time. Let's go read it again. Verse 1 through 3. Now we beseech you, brethren, by the coming of our Savior Yashua Messiah, and by our getting together unto him, that ye be not sin shaken in the mind, or be troubled, neither by the Spirit, neither by the word, nor by the letter as from us, that the day of Yashua is at hand. That no man deceive you by any means, for that day shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that the man of sin be revealed, the son of perdition. Okay. So there you have it. When these usurpers get in there, actually they take advantage of a favorable opportunity, because they're in line for the leadership, whether they're sanctified or not. And so they get in there, and it says, the enemies roar in the midst of thy congregations. They sit up their ensigns for signs. Psalm 74:9. We see not our signs. There is no more any prophet, neither is there among us any that knoweth how long. Okay. So at Gilead Center, they did not see their signs. Apparently they didn't have much faith in their prophet. Probably didn't even believe he's a prophet anymore by his conduct and the way he displayed himself for the last several years while he was still in charge. So it says, there is no more prophet, neither is there among us any that knoweth how long. Psalm 78:43. Now how he had wrought his signs in Egypt and his wonders in the field of Zoan. Psalm 105:27. They showed his signs among them and wonders in the land of Ham. Isaiah 8:18. Behold, I and the children whom the Yahweh hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel, from the Yahweh of hosts which dwelleth in the Mount of Zion. Now this Isaiah talking. He says, behold, I and the children whom the Yahweh hath given me. Okay. Now, when you go to Deuteronomy 8, when you go to Isaiah chapter 8, you learn who these two children of Isaiah is. And let's get acquainted with them. Because one of them is Maher-shalal-Hash-baz, the firstborn of the flesh. He never was reborn. He never was born again. So you have that situation. And then you have the one with another name. Let's go get it. I'm trying to remember it. It says in Isaiah 8 verse 1, moreover the Yahweh said unto me, take thee a great roll and write in it with a man's pen concerning Maher-shalal-Hash-baz. And I took unto me faithful witnesses to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of Jeberechiah. And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Yahweh unto me, call his name Maher-shalal-Hash-baz. For before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. For the Yahweh spake also unto me, saying against him, forasmuch as this people refuses the waters of Shiloh, Shiloh is another name for Yashua, that go softly and rejoice in Rezin and Remaliah's son. Now therefore, behold, the Yahweh bringeth up upon them the waters of the river, strong and many, even the king of Assyria, and all his glory, and he shall come up over all his channel, and go over all his banks. And he shall pass through the Judah, lawgiver, the house of David. He shall overflow and go over, he shall reach even unto the neck, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of that land, O Emmanuel. Associate yourselves, O ye people, and you shall be broken in pieces. And give ear, all ye of far countries, and gird yourselves, and you shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and you shall be broken in pieces. Second time. Take counsel together, and it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand, for Elohim is with us. For the Yahweh spake thus unto me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the way of this people, saying, say ye not a confederacy unto all them unto whom this people shall say, a confederacy. Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. Sanctify the Yahweh of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, and for a stone of stomach, and for a rock of offense unto both the houses of Israel, for a for a gin, and for a snare unto the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble, and fall, and be broken, and be snared, and be taken. Let us continue now. We're on Isaiah 8. Let's look at verse 16. Bind up the testimony, seal the law among my disciples, and I will wait upon the Yahweh that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom the Yahweh hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel from the Yahweh of the host which dwelleth in Mount Zion. Now, the first one, Isaiah's son, was Maher-shalal-Hash-baz. And the other one, I'm trying to find his name. It seems like I'm sure to find it here in this chapter. But he represents the Emmanuels, the second born, the born again of the Spirit. So you had, Isaiah had two sons, Maher-shalal-Hash-baz, born of the flesh, descendants of Ishmael, and then the Emmanuel he had, went by the Emmanuel, he is of the seed of Isaac, in other words. Let us go ahead, Isaiah 8, verse 19. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them that have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and mutter, should not the people seek unto their Elohim for the living unto the dead? to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according unto this word, it is because there is no light in them. And they shall pass through it, hardly be stead and hungry, and it shall come to pass that when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves, and curse their king and their Elohim, and look upward. They shall look unto the earth, and behold trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven unto darkness. Alright, now let's go back to our strong concordance. Let's pick up on the next column of verses with the word signs in it. It says right here in Jeremiah 32:20, which has 6 signs. Actually, we need to go back. I believe we need to do Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 2. Thus saith Yahweh, learn not the way of the heathen, and be not dismayed at the signs of the heaven. For the heathen are dismayed at them. What sign? The sun, the moon, and stars that governs the sanctuary service of here on earth. Yahweh's creation calendar in the sky. And keep in mind that those luminaries that are in the heavens is created in the heavens. Okay. Let's just say that the sun that gives us light in the daytime here on earth represents the Father. And let's just say the moon represents the sun, Yashua. Let's just say the Father reflects the sun from him, a truth, the light from the sun, and he reflects it to his son. Okay. The sun in the heavens is about 93 million miles away from us. But the moon, I believe, is about 240-some thousand miles away. So you see, while the brighter one is confined more in the heavens, and the lesser one is confined here in this Earth's gravity, so to speak, in our solar system. Now keep in mind that the sun, representing our Father in heaven, is not in our solar system. It's in the center, giving light on the other, maybe possibly other planets and solar systems and other solar systems. But the moon is confined to this world. Its orbit, it works in conjunction with our Earth's orbit, and so does the sun. But the sun is a stationary object, whereas the Earth rotates around the sun. But the moon, not so. It rotates around the Earth. Okay. So now it says there in Jeremiah 32:20, it says, of which hath set the signs and wonders in the land of Egypt, even unto this day, and in Israel, and among other men, and hast made thee a name as at this day. Jeremiah 32:21. And hast brought forth thy people Israel out of the land of Egypt with the signs and with wonders and with a strong hand and with a stretched out arm and with great terror. Daniel 4:2. I thought it good to show the signs and wonders that the high Elohim has wrought toward me. Okay, verse 3. How great are his signs, and how mighty are his wonders. For his kingdom is an everlasting kingdom, and his dominion is from generation to generation. Well, the kingdom that I am been put in charge of at this moment is Mount Zion at the 12th hour, and it's forever. Whether I end up making it forever or not, the most important thing is this is the kingdom of heaven, and it's forever. It's been established. I plan on making it forever, but we'll have to talk about those things later for each and every one of us. Deuteronomy 6:27. He delivereth and rescueth, and he worketh signs and wonders in heaven and in earth, who hath delivered Daniel from the power of the lion. Matthew 16:3. And in the morning it will be foul weather, and it will be foul weather today, for the sky is red and lowering. O you hypocrites, you can discern the face of the sky, but can you not discern the signs of the time? Matthew 24:24. For there shall arise false messiahs and false prophets, and shall show great signs and wonders, insomuch that if it were possible, they shall deceive the very elect. Matthew 13:22. For the false messiahs and false prophets shall arise, and shall show signs and wonders, to seduce, if it were possible, even the very elect. Okay, actually that was in Mark 13:22. This is in Mark 16:17. And these signs shall follow them that believe. In my name shall they cast out devils, and they shall speak with new tongues. Okay, Mark 16:20. And they went forth and preached everywhere, the Yahweh working with them and confirming the word with the signs following. Amen. Okay. Luke 1:62. And they made signs unto his father how he would have him called. Luke 21:11. And great earthquakes shall be in the divers places, and famines and pestilences and fearful sights and great signs shall there be from heaven. Luke 21:25. And there shall be signs in the sun, and in the moon, and in the stars, and upon the earth distress of nations, with the perplexity, for the sea and the waves are roaring also. Let's go now to John 4:48. It says, Then said Yashua unto him, Except you see signs and wonders, you will not believe. John 20:30. And many other signs truly did Yashua in the presence of his disciples, which are not written in this book. Acts 2:19. And I will show wonders in the heaven above, and signs in the earth beneath, blood and fire and vapor of smoke. Verse 22. Ye men of Israel, hear these words. Yashua of Nazareth, a man approved of the Yahweh Elohim among you, by the miracles and wonders and signs which the Elohim did by him in the midst of you, as ye yourselves also know. Acts 2:43. And fear came upon every soul, and many wonders and signs were done by the apostles. Acts 4:30. By stretching forth thine hand to heal, and that signs and wonders may be done by the name of thy holy child Yashua. So now, when the disciples were able to stretch forth their hands and heal people, that was a sign that they were sent of heaven, of Yashua, that they were his disciples. Acts 5:12. And by the hands of the apostles were many signs and wonders wrought among the people, and they were all with one accord in Solomon's porch. Acts 7:36. He brought them out after that he had showed wonders and signs in the land of Egypt, and in the Red Sea, and in the wilderness 40 years. Acts 8:13. Then Simon himself believed also, and when he was baptized, he continued with Philip, and wondered, beholding the miracles and signs which were done. Acts 14:3. Long time, therefore, abode they, speaking boldly in the Yashua, which gave testimony unto the word of his grace, and granted signs and wonders to be done by their hands. Romans 15:19. through mighty signs and wonders by the power of the Spirit of the Yahweh, so that from Jerusalem and round about unto Lycrium I have fully preached the gospel of the Yashua. Now that is camouflaged, because what he was preaching was the mystery that was hidden in the foundation of the world, how that we are saved through the new and living way, that is through the blood of Yashua now in the new covenant, whereas in the old covenant they were saved by the blood of the animal. In the new covenant they're saved by the blood of the Yashua. And so Paul could actually very well have said, I have fully preached the plan of the salvation through the blood of the everlasting covenant of the Yashua. 2 Corinthians 12:12. Truly the signs of the apostles were wrought among you in all patience, and signs and wonders and mighty deeds. 2 Thessalonians 2:9. Even him whose coming is after the working of Satan, with all power and signs and lying wonders. Hebrews 2:4. Elohim also bearing them witness, both with signs and wonders and with divers miracles and gifts of the Yahweh Spirit, according unto his own will. That concludes our scriptures reading of the word signs. Now, we'll go now to Matthew 24, and we'll continue reading about the signs for these last days. And what we're going to learn is about some signs that we don't normally think about, and that is how a true minister or a true shepherd that has the office of inspiration can lead you for so many years and preach from his sacred desk, and gradually shifts the truth and completely do a flip-flop, and one day you wake up and he's teaching all false doctrine, but it started out as true doctrine. Now folks, you'd had to have been with something like this like I was for 32 years to realize how gradual and creeping that was. It was just like creeping slow molasses. It's just creeps right along, you don't even hardly know it's moving. But one day, you're there. Okay. Now in Matthew 24, we're going to read that again. It says that, and Yashua went out and departed from the temple. Well, let's read the last few verses of Matthew 23. Let's start with verse about 35 through 39. That upon you may come all the righteous blood shed upon the earth, from the blood of righteous Abel unto the blood of Zacharias, son of Berechias, whom ye slew between the temple and the altar. And that's talking about the Jews, those rogue Jews that were of the descendant of Ishmael, born of the flesh, never to be born again of the Spirit. Those that wouldn't accept Yashua if their life depended on it, and their life did depend on it, and they didn't accept him, and so therefore they were destroyed. Likewise. Verily I say unto you, all these things shall come upon this generation. O Jerusalem, Jerusalem, thou that killest the prophets, and stonest them which are sent unto thee, how often would I have gathered thy children together, even as a hen gathereth her chickens under her wings, and ye would not. Behold, your house is left unto you desolate. Now this is terrible, because that's exactly what he said to the house of Israel today, when the Adventists sojourned in the end time prophecies came to an end. The Adventists don't realize it, but according to prophecy and the timeline for them, they had about a 158-year run. From 1844 to 2000, actually 159, 160-year run to 2003. And that's all. Even though they're on the scene still today. But let me tell you what, as far as fulfilling any kind of prophecy, they're completely, totally through, except that one day we're going to meet 144,000 saints that she produced, but they've been set aside and already separated from the body. And so, that right there tells us a whole lot. It says, behold, your house is left unto you desolate, right? Now, this is a latter-day prophecy. It was also a prophecy for the type for the Jews in their day, when Jerusalem was destroyed in 70 A.D., that fulfilled that type. Well, antithetical Jerusalem is going to be destroyed in these last days. And so, in 70 A.D. was the destruction and the cutting off of that Jewish nation, the Pharisees, the house of David, the sinful kingdom, the tribe of Judah, the sinful kingdom. For they was in charge of the throne of David. But they lost that charge when Yashua appointed the disciples, and after Yashua's resurrection, the disciples all were converted to Yashua, born again. And so on the day of Pentecost, when they received the outpouring of the Holy Spirit, is whenever they took over the leadership from the Pharisees. Okay? But the Pharisees' house had been left unto them desolate by virtue of the disciples being appointed to be the changing of the guard. The guard was changed from the rabbis and the priests that ruled the temple, the Pharisees and the Sadducees. That old guard was changed, and it was changed to the new guard, the apostolics, with the disciples at the head of it. And that was in 31 A.D. Okay? So in another 40 years, the temple was destroyed for the Pharisees. But the disciples, they had charge then of the temple for 40 years, away from the Pharisees. And then the temple was destroyed at the end of that 40 years, which came to 70 A.D. Now in 1970, we had the antithetical house of the Pharisees, tribe of Judah, of the lawgiver, resurrected in our day. In 70 A.D., 1970 A.D. Brother Samuel Johnson, the leadership of the antithetical rabbis of the Pharisees, was appointed over the candlestick of antithetical Jerusalem. Okay, and so now, when Yashua was born, he grew up, and at the age of 30, he started his ministry in Jerusalem. Okay, and that was in about 27 A.D. And he filled out that last week of that 70-week prophecy of Daniel 9:24-27. And he was cut off in the midst of that week. Well, that week ended in 34 A.D. And then another 36 years later, the temple was destroyed at Jerusalem. So, therefore, let's go back to another type. King Saul was appointed the first king over Israel. When the children of Israel wanted a king, insisted upon a king having one, then Yahweh told Samuel to go anoint them this King Saul from Benjamin. He said, give them their king, give them their king. Tell them all about their king, though. Tell them what that king will do to them, and how he'll enslave them, and how he'll just do everything imaginable to them, and make them like it. They said, well, we still want the king. So, King Saul is the first king of Israel. Yahweh never intended for Israel to have kings here on this earth. He intended to be their king, and he intended prophets to be the mediator between him and the children of Israel. Or between Yashua actually as the king. Yahweh appointed kingship to his son, so I should say Yashua. And so if they had agreed to done that, Yashua could have been king of Israel and was already king of Israel in Samuel's day before the children of Israel wanted a visible, literal king. It's like the nations around them. So they got King Saul. And you know, King Saul never did right from the start go. He already tried to be lenient with him and tried to go along with him for 40 years. But he'd filled up his cup and Yahweh had rejected him. But he let him have his 40-year period that he had made a deal with him to run. And so when Saul's time was up, what happened? He committed spiritual suicide. Literally, he committed suicide on the battlefield. And when he did, the house of Israel was left desolate by the death of the king of Israel. Because there was no provision for anyone in Saul's descendants, his bloodline, to succeed him upon the throne of Israel. There was no preparation made for it because of his disobedience. Yahweh would not allow Jonathan or anybody to succeed him upon his throne. He forever brought that temporal provisional government to a close of Israel with the first fleshly carnal king, David being the one that succeeded Saul. Then David was placed upon his own throne, okay, in the tribe of Judah. Now, he had the same tribe to rule over as King Saul did. But the difference is King Saul was from Benjamin. He was not a Judahite. In other words, he was not classified as of the family of Judah. David came from Judah. Judah's a lawgiver. So King Saul was not from a tribe that was titled as a lawgiver, where Yashua would come through that tribe. He was from Benjamin, and he had to still to represent all the 12 tribes from Benjamin. And all the time, the tribe of Judah was the most powerful tribe because of its heritage. Because Yashua was scheduled to be born through that line of Judah. So, therefore, Yahweh said to King Saul, your house is left unto you desolate. When he went to visit that witch of Endor, he went across the border of Israel to the land of Endor, and he inquired of the witch, because he's going to go into battle the next day with the Philistines, and the witch didn't give him no encouragement at all. She told him the truth about it, that he was going to be slain and his sons with him. And so that just decimated King Saul. And so he went back to his camp that night and got ready the next morning to go to battle with the Philistines, knowing that he was going to die that day. King Saul knew he was going to die. He knew his sons were going to be killed with him. He knew that Israel was going to lose the battle and they were going to fall before the Philistine army. So that was a type. The Seventh-day Adventist Church is the antitype of King Saul's kingdom. They're the antitype of it. And sure enough, the Seventh-day Adventist Church also fell before her enemies. The antitypical Philistines, the Catholic Church. The Catholic Church completely has taken over the Adventist Church and completely owns the Adventist Church through the government. Because the Adventists fell for that bait of taking government money for their schools and for their hospitals, and taking government money and grants for everything that they wanted to build for Adventists around the world, all their publishing houses and foreign lands. The Adventists borrowed money from the government, and then one day the government said, you know, you've borrowed millions and millions of dollars, and it looks like you're not able to pay it back. We're going to have to confiscate your property. So they took over all the Adventist holdings around the world. Back in the 80s, 70s, 80s, and 90s. Completely took them over. And then they just hired the Adventists to be caretakers of now the government's property. And the government is owned by the Catholic Church. And so who ended up owning all the Adventist property? The Catholic Church. So they're the antithetical Philistines today. King Saul is that nation of Israel that fell to her enemy. And on top of that is the Adventist Church, having joined up with the world, taking out the 501c3s to have the privilege to be tax exempt, like all the other Protestant denominations have done, and all the other charitable organizations will have done, even though the IRS law says no religious organization and no charitable organization are required to take out a tax exempt number to be free. You don't grant privileges to religious institutions to preach the gospel. So they have that right from heaven, and nobody can trespass upon that. But if you want to volunteer to come and get a number from Caesar, from our government, then we'll give you a number, and then we'll take control of your churches. And that's what the Adventist Church did. They went and volunteered. Of course, they had Jesuits leading the Adventist Church, and that's the reason why they volunteered the Adventists to join Caesar, the government, and let Caesar loan her out this money to build her institution. And then, when she couldn't pay back, she took them over and bankrupted the Adventist Church, and so forth. So that's how the Adventist Church, the house was left under them desolate, 2002, 2003. With Brother Johnson, the last voice of inspiration, which is appointed as the angel of the seventh candlestick, let us sit over them. When that last voice of inspiration fell by the wayside, he represented the suicide again of antithetical King Saul. Brother Johnson committed spiritual and literally physical suicide. Because when judgment began with him at the house of Yahweh, 1 Peter 4:17 in 2002, and then that marking angel of Ezekiel 9, the one with the rider's acorn by his side, went to the city and only marked those that signed and crying, and left Brother Johnson and all the Gilead sinners out except 3 people. Didn't put no mark on them to set them aside. So we left them for the slaughtering angels to identify and go and get them along with all the rest of the terrorists that falls in the Adventist Church. Okay, and so that's where we're at today. Okay, now that's a lot of information to have to reveal, but it's worth knowing. So, in that sense, that's fulfilled 2 Thessalonians where it says that know this first, that they got to first come falling away and the man of sin be revealed. Okay. In the Adventist Church, the falling away would be the Adventists losing all their institutions to the beast, and the General Conference President being the #1 man responsible for that happening. So for the Adventists today, that would be the man of sin, would be your General Conference President of Seventh-day Adventist. Now, I read to you Matthew 23, and now I'm going to read the last verse, 39. It says, "For I say unto you, you shall not see me henceforth till you shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of the Yahweh, the Father." Now this is Yashua talking. So he said unto them, "You shall not see me henceforth till you shall say, Blessed is he that cometh in the name of Yashua, of the Yahweh." Now we're looking for this moment and this day very soon. This house is going to become sanctified, purified, made white, so that we can be there to receive him when he does come. And no doubt it'll be a blessed reunion. It'll be a blessed event. No doubt the purified house of Israel will lift up their hands and voices, and they will gladly welcome the Messiah. in behalf of all of those disciples clear back 2,000 years ago. And don't be surprised that if the disciples are not resurrected and standing there also when he comes. Don't be surprised. The resurrection is going to start here in this 12th hour. And we don't know exactly when it's going to start, but we know that it's going to coincide with the judgment of living and harvesting of the wheat and separating the tares. Okay, now in Matthew 24, start with verse 1. And Yashua went out and departed from the temple, and his disciples came to him for to show him the buildings of the temple. Yashua said unto them, See ye not all these things? Verily I say unto you, there shall not be left here one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. And as he sat upon the Mount of the Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, Tell us, when shall these things be, and what shall be the sign of thy coming and of the end of the world? Yashua answered and said unto them, Take heed that no man deceive you. That's the first thing that you be aware of and guard against. For many shall come in my name, saying, I am the Messiah, and shall deceive many. Well, we have literally thousands of those all over the world today. And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars, see that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Okay. So right here in this 12th hour, we have wars and rumors of wars that are stirring every day. For nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in divers places. And all these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake. And then shall many be offended, and shall betray one another, and shall hate one another. And many false prophets shall rise, and shall deceive many. And because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. Because iniquity shall abound. Iniquity abounds in the house of Israel. That's what it's talking about. And many of your brethren in church, because of the iniquity that abounds in the house of Israel, the love of many waxes cold among your own brethren. But he that shall endure unto the end, the same shall be saved. Okay, that says an awful lot right there. And this gospel, the teaching of the plan of salvation through the new and living way by the blood of Yashua, through the blood of Yashua, of the kingdom, this everlasting kingdom of heaven, which is set up here with Yashua sitting upon the throne of his earthly father David. That's in this everlasting kingdom of heaven now, that's called the everlasting kingdom of David. When ye therefore shall see the abomination of the desolation spoken of by Daniel, the prophet, stand in a holy place, whoso readeth let him understand. The only place that's designated the holy place is the sacred desk in the temple of the house of Israel. Okay, then let them which be in Judea flee into the mountains. Let him which is on the housetop not come down to take anything out of his house. Neither let him which is in the field return back to take his clothes. And woe unto them that are with child, and unto them that give suck in those days. But pray ye that your flight be not in the winter, neither on the Sabbath day. For then shall be great tribulation, such as was not since the beginning of the world, unto this time, no, nor ever shall be. Okay. Now let's go to Daniel 12. And let's finish with Daniel chapter 12. Daniel chapter 12 just ties right in what I just read to you about this great tribulation right here in this 12th hour. In Daniel 12, start with verse 1. And at that time shall Michael stand up, the great prince which standeth for the children of thy people. And there shall be a time of trouble, such as never was since there was a nation, even at that same time. And at that time thy people shall be delivered, every one that shall be found written in the book. And many of them that sleep in the dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to shame and everlasting contempt. And they that be wise shall shine as the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many unto righteousness as the stars forever and ever. But thou, O Daniel, shut up thy words and seal the book even unto the time of the end. Many shall run to and fro, and knowledge shall be increased. Okay, then I, Daniel, looked, and behold, there stood other two, the one on this side of the bank of the river, and the other on that side of the bank of the river. And one said to the man clothed in the linen, this would be Yashua, which was upon the waters of the river, how long shall it be unto the end of these wonders? And I heard the man clothed in linen, Yashua himself, which was upon the waters of the river, when he held up his right hand and his left hand unto heaven, and swore by him that liveth forever, that it shall be for a time, times and a half. 3.5 years, folks. 42 months. Okay. Tie that in with Revelation 11, that 42-month period there. And you might read that. We're getting close to the end of verse 30. And when he shall have accomplished or scattered the power of the holy people, all these things shall be finished. And I heard, but I understood not. Then said I, O my master, what shall be the end of these things? And he said, Go thy way, Daniel, for the words are closed up and sealed until the time of the end. And the time of the end is what we're at today in this 12th period brought it down. Many shall be purified and made quiet and tried, but the wicked shall do wickedly, and none of the wicked shall understand, but the wise shall understand. Okay? And from the time that the daily sacrifice shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate sit up, okay? The daily sacrifice was taken away by the Catholic Church in 538 A.D. Okay? Now, that's been like 1,500 years ago. And it says, the abomination that maketh desolate sit up, there shall be taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate sit up. So it says from the time, 538 A.D., when the daily sacrifice was taken away, and the abomination that maketh desolate sit up. But the abomination that maketh desolate was when the last prophet of the candlestick of Laodicea, Revelation 3:14, the angel of that candlestick, when he had prophesied, that's when the abomination that maketh desolate was sit up. And the Catholic Church had finally achieved their mission again, that's make the last prophet in Israel to fail. And their influence for 158 years caused the last prophet, Brother Sebby Johnson, to fail because he never did rise above the influences of that Catholic influence, those Jesuit influence in the Adventist Church. There shall be 1,290 days. Blessed is he that waiteth and cometh to the 1,305 and 30 days. Okay. But go thy way till the end be, for thou shalt rest and stand in thy lot at the end of the days. This is what we're looking forward to now. This brings the close of our status. You can contact us at the 11th hour call. That's number 11. Click on our audio archive to hear this message and more. We will close now with a song entitled The Old Rugged Cross. On a hill far away stood an old rugged cross, the emblem of suffering and shame. And I love that old cross where the dearest and died. Oh, a world of lost sinners was slain. So cherish the old rugged cross till my troubles at last I lay down. I will cling to the old rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. Oh, that old rugged cross, so despised by the world, as a wondrous attraction for me. For the dear Lamb of Yah left his glory above to bear it to dark Calvary. cherish your rugged cross till my trophies at last are laid down. I will cling to your rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. And the old rugged cross, stained with blood so divine, a wondrous beauty I see. For 'twas on that old cross Yashua suffered and died, to pardon and sanctify me. So cherish your rugged cross till my trophies at last are laid down. I will cling to your rugged cross and exchange it someday for a crown. The old rugged cross, I will ever be true. His shame and reproach gladly bear, and he'll call me someday to my home far away, where his glory forever I'll share. So cherish your rugged cross till my trophies at last I lay down. I will cling to the rugged cross and exchange